What do you think about using the magnetic mask to replace a sky? Let's do it. So yeah, I think we can do this. I think we're going to try to do a sky replacement here with the magnetic mask. So let's dive in and do it. Over here in Final Cut Pro, I've just got a few different clips in here. I've got a clip of a man walking, pretty simple, and I have a clip of a time-lapse sky in the background. I'm going to use this time-lapse sky to replace the sky that's here. Now I chose a very simple sky, just a blue sky that we're going to replace. It might get a little more complicated with the magnetic mask if you do something more complex, but we'll start simple, we'll see how this goes, and then maybe in future videos we can kind of go more complex with this. So just like we did before, we're going to throw this clip down here on the timeline. We're going to put what is ultimately going to be the sky in the background below the clip, like that. I'm going to just kind of trim this off here like this, get rid of that, go away, so that they're equal length, just so that we can kind of see what they look like together in the end, okay? Now, someone had pointed out in the comments on one of the videos that all we have to do actually is grab the magnetic mask here and drag it up onto the viewer, and then it will select our subject. We can just select our subject like this and drop it on there. And if you're just selecting a single individual or a subject, that's awesome because it cuts out most of the dropper stuff where you have to kind of select the different parts. But in our case, what we actually want to do is select this entire landscape as well. So we're going to use the dropper to do that. And so we'll make sure that up here we have the plus selected and that there's a plus on our dropper, and then we'll just start to select this landscape. So we're going to click the different parts here, and then let's see, we want to make sure we've got the dog, we want to make sure that the landscape up here, we want that bush, okay, and I think that's good. I think that kind of covers most of the spaces. So now what we're going to want to do is hold down the Option key, and that's going to make it minus. So now we're deselecting, and we're going to just kind of deselect some of the spaces that we don't actually want to mask. So that's actually really good. That kind of got all the way around the person. These bushes, I think because they're so thin and like the actual part isn't red, the sky itself, I don't think that's going to be a problem. So I'm going to leave that as it is for now. We might need to fix that a little bit later. The last thing we need here is down between the legs. So I'm kind of zooming in on this, and I'm just going to see if I can take some of that away. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to take this away in here, but I want to keep this because you can see kind of like it's taking a little bit away from the pants here. I don't want that to be the case, so I want to keep the legs here, and maybe if I use this little brush instead, maybe I can kind of get a little bit more detailed with this brush here, and I'm going to just take out that like this and see if that helps there. And then we'll go back over to our dropper, and I will take this away over here. And so this kind of becomes a little bit of a process, right? A little bit of an art when you're trying to get something a little bit more detailed. We're going to go in here, and we're just going to remove the space in here with this brush tool like this. And now we're going to be a little bit more detailed in here. And I got a little bit of his pants, so now we're going to go to the plus over here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that back in. And so you can see that we can get very detailed with the tools here. I could actually go here if I want to kind of take a little bit more. I've made the brush even smaller, and we'll get this little space right here too, okay? And you can get very detailed with these tools and how you do the masking here. Now, I want to make sure that all of the parts of the grass are selected as well. So I'm going to zoom this back out to fit. And now, so getting in there and being kind of intricate about that, I took away some. So now I'm going to mask that back in. And I'm going to mask that back in. Hopefully it doesn't break my mask that I've done between those legs. Okay, good. And I'm just going to get that bush. All right, I think we're good. I think we've got it all. So now, like we've done in the other videos that I've talked about the magnetic mask, we're going to analyze this. I'm just going to analyze it forward, and then when it's done analyzing, we'll dive back in and keep talking about it.
And while we're waiting, let me read you War and Peace.
And this is one of those special moments where you realize you've made a mistake.
And so it was discovered that I only analyzed the video from a specific point and thus had to analyze it backwards. So thank you for your patience while I figure out how to adult.
Okay, it's finished going through the analyzing part, and so now all I'm going to do is just click up here at the top of magnetic mask, so it essentially applies the mask. And now you can see that the sky in the background has completely changed. It's now taken on this sky here. And so I'm just going to kind of scrub through it really quick and see how it did overall, and it looks like it went pretty well. So now in this context, I'm going to do just some small touching up, right? So basically I'm going to say, okay, I can see that there's a little bit of a line here, and you've seen before that we usually fix that with some feathering. So I'm just going to kind of feather backwards into the negative to about 30, like that. And I think that does a decent job of cleaning that up, so that looks pretty good. And so now I'm just going to do a little bit of color correction to kind of make this blend a little bit better with that sky, and then we're done. It was that easy. I'm going to throw a quick blur here onto the front person. Obviously that's not how we want it to look, so let's just do a little bit of adjusting. Gonna take the amount down to about like we'll go with like a 7 something. We'll take the softness to about like, I don't know, 2 something, 203. We'll set the emphasis to about 100 up here, something like that. We're just going to kind of bring the width in a little bit like this. The height is just going to be 100. And then we're going to put the focal point on him right here. And then I think we're going to kind of want to animate that focal point, because I think, pretty sure, as he walks, he kind of moves over. So let's just look here. Yeah, because about there, he'll go over and he'll be kind of blurry on the side. So we don't want that. For the center here, we're just going to set a keyframe. And then as we go over to here, where he's kind of moved off to the side like that, I'm going to move this over there with him like that. And so it should kind of auto animate. It should auto keyframe it. But it does not appear as though it did, so I'm going to keyframe it like that. And now, if I'm over here, toward the beginning, it's over there with him. As he moves over in the frame, that moves with him. Okay, so that's basically animated pretty well. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And so that's kind of a decent amount of blur. I don't want to add too crazy to it. I don't want it to make it look too unrealistic. So I'm just going to color correct this a little bit, and then we're done. So I think the highlights I'm going to bring down into the cyan a little bit, maybe kind of like down in here-ish, something like that. So it kind of like makes it look a little bluer in the highlights. Midtones and shadows, I think I'm going to kind of go in the opposite direction with. So the midtones will kind of, we'll go kind of like there-ish, seems good to me. I might take the shadows down into the blue a little bit too, like that. You can do so much with this magnetic mask. It is insane. It is literally insane how much you can do with the magnetic mask. So I'm just throwing music on here, and now I'm going to render it out, and let's just look at the finished product. I am just blown away by the magnetic mask. I love it. I love all of the different things that you can do with it. I love the versatility of it. I just think that it's one of the best features that was introduced in Final Cut Pro 11. Obviously, you can see that I've released 3 different videos about it, but I really hope that you're enjoying using the magnetic mask. So if you thought that was cool, you should definitely check out this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.